Good morning, YouTube fam. Your girl's back. She's on the mend and she has COVID. Right, so y'all, just wanted to touch base with everybody and give y'all an update on things. Change of scenery. Sitting down versus walking. That's how you know something's changed, you know what I mean? But no, for real. I'm gonna call this the Road to Recovery series. Post-show recovery in particular. COVID will resolve itself. And with that, I felt that a list would be helpful and make this upload stand out on its own. I wrote that shit down. So my previous uploads had a prep checklist, which were like, how's my sleep, how's my hunger, energy and performance, libido, suffering, all that stuff during prep. But now, post-show, you know, it's its own beast, and just want to make sure that I'm organized in my thoughts about how exactly will I know that I'm recovered, you know, what does it all entail? And so gaining weight, that's a huge part of post-show recovery, gaining weight, but in a healthy way, not just like blowing up. So that's one thing. And then in general, increase calories. That was another goal. And then work on improvements, you know, delts all day, back, V-taper all day, hamstrings, all the backside, you know. So had some areas of growth or whatever. That was the general game plan, but that doesn't take into account disordered eating. So when I talk about road to recovery, I'm talking about getting all that shit in check. So number one goal and metric for the road to recovery is, what's the deal with my eating behaviors? Am I binging? How's that going? So hunger, cravings, diet adherence, right? And then any milestones related to all of that. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing is mental health, because while certainly post-show, some people have the post-show blues, I will say that I'm just more prone to anxiety and stress. So for my mental health, like, I wouldn't say I'm depressed, because typically I'll analyze the situation and figure out like what I'm a doer, you know, get shit done. I'm not one like to wallow. So, but stress for sure, stress. So anxiety and stress, how's that going? How's that hopefully normalizing? What am I doing? Protective things, you know, to mitigate all that. And then also acknowledging that a lot of the stress has jack shit to do with contest prep and everything to do with compounding shit that occurred during the course of contest prep. Nothing related to prep so much as life stressors that kind of exploded in my face during prep. For instance, losing the job, almost losing the guy, travel stress, shit that happened throughout, you know, it's a lot. Financial stress, like, you could argue that's more prep related. But in any case, so yeah, the stress, how's that going? Then we can get into weight and body composition. And then energy and performance, sleep and recovery, and then for all y'all nosy nosies, libido and sex hormones. I feel that's a comprehensive recovery checklist. So starting from the top, we are 1 month out, 4 weeks out, or 4 weeks post show, right? And I'm okay with hunger, actually. I'm not hungry. And when I do experience hunger, it's because I'm in between meals or something. So I'm okay with hunger. Cravings, I'm okay with that too right now. This is taking me a while though, for real, because I've been craving salty and sweet foods, fucking pretzels, cereal, you know, really tempted by those things. I think I've kind of like black boxed fried foods in my mind. It's just like wholly unacceptable for me to ever eat, with the exception of Popeye's chicken. But in general, I don't crave things like French fries or anything like that. I think I've just like made it unacceptable in my mind. Also, they have to be like the perfect fries for me. Everybody's different, but mine need to be like, they just need to be perfect. I need to be able to see the salt crystals on them. They need to be well browned. They can't be too fat. It's not about the potato. It's about the salt and the crunch for me. So they can't be the thick cut fries. And yeah, man, and they have to be hot and fresh. They can't be like sitting there stale. So how often do I find myself in the presence of fries? Not very often. Actually, McDonald's fries are pretty freaking good, but I don't fucks with McDonald's either. But my point is, I don't crave fries. I crave pretzels and chips and things that are pretty consistent in their in their salt and crunch variability. And even then, real talk, I've just been craving cereal, if anything, and usually at night and yada, yada, yada. I'm happy to report I've eaten most of the cereal in my house at this point, and I'm determined not to purchase any more. And so we're good, fam. So I would honestly say that this week, week 4, my cravings are well under control for those kinds of things. Like more than anything, I've been really focusing on eating whole foods and cleaner foods. And so when I had a craving for something, it was like for a sandwich. So literally just like the composition of the sandwich, the meat, the mayo, the crunch of the lettuce and the onion, the tomato. So I craved that and I went ahead and got one. Yay. So cravings are under control. Diet adherence. You can't really get into diet adherence without advising on what the diet is. So Coach knows me well. She knows that I really like structure and being able to check off a list. I also like to be able to plan for my days. So she's given me like the baseline macros, which I'll include here. But then she also appreciates that I have been more snackish and I need more variability, more flexibility during the day. So she's added 150 freedom calories, as it were, for me to enjoy on a daily basis. So hit the macros, and then 150 calories bonus, whatever the fuck I want, if I want it during the day. And then per my request, and because we're trying to gain weight, but in a controlled manner and relieve some food stress about tracking and not tracking, I'm allotted 1 untracked meal a week. How's my diet adherence going on that? Well, last week was my first week home, not spending the night anywhere, not traveling around to different locations for work, really getting able to settle into my life as I hope it will, unfold over the next few months, normalize over the next few months. And honestly, pretty good. I didn't really take advantage of the freedom calories consistently because I was trying to gauge, am I hungry or not? Is it necessary or is it just like compulsion to eat a little more because I'm allowed that food? So that was pretty good actually. And then instead of an untracked meal, I ended up having that sub in the place of one of my last meals. What else did I have? I had at work, I was really hungry. One of my last meals was home, but I went to the cafeteria and made myself like some shit off the salad bar and like ate it mindfully. And that was in the place of a meal. So I've just kind of been trying to be a little bit more flexible, but having it be dictated by me and not by like the social environment. So I would argue that I'm 80 or 90% adherent right now. I have had, this might be my first week of not binging, but I did overeat the other day. Cereal, granola, and almond milk. But I will say that it wasn't a binge because mentally it was a different headspace. So this would be a milestone of not 7 days of not binging, right? That's huge. You just got to build off of that success. And I'm recognizing now that what I have to do in order to protect myself against those episodes, at least in the short term, is really focus on mindfulness when eating. So it's kind of like, for instance, I don't like talking while I eat. I don't like eating in big groups because, you kind of just mindlessly, you're not even thinking about chewing. It takes a while for your body to even feel full, after you've eaten. But if you're just like eating, or you're distracted, you're more inclined to overeat. And so I'm kind of making it a point, like, not to be on the phone while I'm eating, not to be doom scrolling on the phone, not to be in person, like engaging in a live conversation, like just like pause, move the food aside, finish the freaking conversation, go back to the food. Separating myself if I'm at work, from everybody to freaking eat my food. And that's been really helpful, because that overeating episode was because I was engaged in a text back and forth with someone who's important to me about an important subject matter. So it was like, and I just didn't want to stop, because textures and crunchiness and good feels, endorphins and all that from eating cereal. Yeah, I really can't have cereal in my house, man. It's like a broken record at this point. Damn, that sucks. I fucking love cereal, but I just can't, everybody. Anyway, so diet adherence is good. Appetite is good. When I really look at my nutrition, I'm not hungry. I'm not underfueled. I would like to see my calories go up, but there's so much going on right now. Let me see if I can hold down this body composition, y'all. Let me see. Oh, is that a good segue? No, not really. I'm going on to mental health and anxiety. All right, because I'm going to keep it linear, Roberta. All right, anxiety and stress and mental health. I've been doing decaf exclusively now, and ashwagandha and adaptogens to just kind of keep my mood more level. And I've been doing a little bit of breath work. It's called like cardiac coherence, heart rate variability type shit. I might actually include a link to a YouTube video that had it, because what it was I had gone to see this PhD nutritionist lady who does biofeedback, and I've always really liked biofeedback as a means of bridging mental health with like physical feedback, and but I've never found a practitioner that had like the tools for that, where they hook you up in some way and you can actually see your body's response to whatever interventions you're doing. But she had that, and so it was like this thing, you clip it to your ear, and then it lets you know your heart rate during certain exercise that you're doing, so you can learn like how it affects you. And it was attached to an app and a visual aid and everything else. But I find that when I'm trying to meditate or when I'm trying to ground, I prefer my eyes closed. I'm a sensory deprivation person all day. Case in point, floating in the water face down. Case in point, when I sleep, my face is covered. Like, I just want to forget about the world. I don't want to be stimulated. So while I loved it, I was like, man, I would prefer not to have to stare at the screen to guide my breath work. Because like when you inhaled, you could see your heart rate variability, and you could see like this orb growing and shrinking, and you're supposed to let the visual cue guide your breath or whatever. And I was like, I would love this, but I would prefer it if it was a sound or something, so that I could just like close my eyes and like exhale when the gong goes off and inhale when the other chime goes on, something like that, so I could really disassociate. And anyway, she didn't have that technology, so I've spent some time looking on YouTube for audio like that. I looked on Spotify too, but I didn't have the patience to go through that many clips of people talking and breathing on a mic. Anyway, I ended up finding one. I'll share that down below. So basically that way you can close your eyes and just follow the cues by sound, not by instruction. That's been helpful. Also, just I started jogging, and not really concerned about my gains, but did a little bit of research on that. And like 2 miles twice a week is not going to hurt your gains. So I've been jogging for pleasure for no more than like 25 minutes in the morning, since I don't have a lot of time, and usually on my rest days, or of course before any kind of training. So it's not been a problem. My knees aren't killing me about it. My foot, I guess because of this fact that it's not very frequent, hasn't been acting up, my plantar fasciitis. So I'm hopeful that this will be a practice I can hold on to, because it has been nice and the weather's been good for it. Even with the Rona, right? I went for a jog yesterday because I couldn't train, you know, and I actually jogged for like 25 minutes without stopping. I told myself I would stop when my lungs started to burn, but like that time never came. And y'all know how that goes. You know that feeling when you're running or jogging and your lungs burn and you're like, man, I'm so out of shape. That time never came. I just kept it at a reasonable pace and just like looked around, explored my environment, just you know, tried to avoid people with my contagion. So yeah, those things have been helpful for stress and anxiety. And in general, I think I've just learned that for me, multitasking or attempting to multitask or task switch is just too freaking stressful for me, man. Those of y'all who work in a hospital understand. That's like your life when you're in a hospital, and it sucks. You always feel like you're gonna leave something undone, or like you constantly have to write stuff down to keep following up on it. You know, constant interruptions. So it's definitely not helped being back in the hospital. But it just reminded me to kind of set aside everything that I think is urgent. So like the mantra that I have for myself is, now is not the time for that. Now is not the time. Or that can wait. That can wait. And I just have to keep reminding myself that, and then cross check it later in the day to see, is it urgent or not? Aside from patient care, obviously. But I'm talking about like my life and my phone blowing up and shit. So anxiety and stress, I'm getting to a place where I can manage it better, but time will tell, because I'm going to have to float to another campus soon, and I'm going to not be staying at home again. And we'll see if any of this gets to really be protected. If I can just, I feel like now that I have a baseline, like a week and a half, hopefully, of like grounding, that it will be easier for me. So those are the things I'm doing. Yeah, just trying not to be stimulated too much, you know, because I'm just so raw emotionally that it's like a domino effect. So just trying to stay somewhat numb, neutral, decaffeinated, and got my little mantra about like, now is not the time, and have the clarity that it is really that important that I protect my boundaries around sleep, electronic communication, all of those things, because it's kind of like a house of cards. So just kind of having the clarity, no guilt about it, doing what I can. Weight and body composition. I don't know my stage weight exactly. I know my lowest weigh-in was 136, and I have every reason to believe that I probably dropped a pound or two during the show, or like on show day. So I'm just gonna guess that my stage weight was 134. That seems reasonable to me. And so where I'm at now, with like 7 days of not overeating, not binging, or what have you, my body comp is doing really good, Everbirder. Haven't really been practicing my posing, but my weight right now is 140. So 6 pounds. And my weight has been really leveling out and being like 140 to 141 with the food that I am eating, with my steps are back down to 8 to 10K, you know, even with jogging, 8 to 10K. I'm not trying to make up for anything with the cardio. It's really for stress relief, and I'm counting it towards my steps. So I'm sure you'll see some video here, some pictures. Really need to practice my front posing though, y'all. But yeah, freaking the one leg, the one quad is popping off. Glutes are gorgeous. I love my glutes so much. I love them. It's wild. Yeah. So I say glutes are gorgeous just because I like how they can seem a little squared off. I just think that's a cool achievement. And so when I see that from the back pose, I'm always like, I'm in a good place. So body composition is fine. We're certainly not at that 10 to 15% mark, and I'm in no rush to get there. Some people, athletic ass people, just are as lean as I am right now on the regular. I wouldn't say I'm like, you know, I wouldn't say I'm dangerously lean. I still feel like I'm like in the 20-something% body fat, you know, certainly not elite conditioning by any stretch. So I don't want to tell myself that I'm under fueled and starving when realistically I'm still at a, bruh, if I had health insurance, I'd be getting labs right now and get back to y'all. I don't fucking know. My point is, I don't think I'm that crazy lean to where I need to rush to gain the weight. I feel like this is still a good, productive place to put on some muscle, you know, but body dysmorphia, who fucking knows, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know. Lord knows I love this weight, though. I feel very comfortable in my skin under 145, y'all. 145 is a healthy weight for me, I think, but numbers, I don't care. Whatever. Let's get through it, fam. You know what I'm saying? All I know is I would like to eat a little bit more food, but I would also like to maintain this weight, so my relative strength, you know, I don't know. I'm not even thinking about it that far ahead, y'all. I'm just focusing on the binging and the mental health priorities. However, I do think that if I can stay in the 140s in this improvement season, that I could bring some elite conditioning, you know, to the next show. So that's kind of a nice carrot, but it's not the priority at all. Yeah, okay, weight and body comp. I got room to gain weight, but at the same time, I'm not really attached to it at this point, since I don't know. I hope that's clear as mud, everybody. I guess all y'all need to see is the visual references, so. All right, energy and performance. TBD. I had just started turning a corner. I mean, obviously my energy's a little lower now because I'm fucking sick. Performance, I was just starting to climb back into a rhythm with training, you know? So I hit a couple of new block PRs. They just progressively overloading. We'll just call it that. I was just starting to get into a groove with it, with training in the evenings instead of the morning, with the movements, with the workload, like with the volume. I was just starting to get into a groove on it, and then COVID hit. So TBD, can't really say. Sleep and recovery. Sleep is lit. Sleep is so fucking lit. 10 hours, 9 hours, 13 hours. Y'all, blacking out. I don't even have dreams, everybody. And I'm okay with that. I just want to not freaking think. Sleep has been lit. Now, I will say this. Prior to the Rona and that stretch, and my 1 week back home, I was starting to notice my body's rhythm. I was determined to sleep 7 to 8 hours. I was like, I'm going to always prioritize that. So regardless of, it takes me a while now to wind down because of the anxiety and the stress, like literally hours. But I would always wake up at the same time. My circadian rhythm is leveling out, or was, and then the Rona hit, and then I've just been sleeping even more and even harder. But the point is, I thought that was pretty cool that no matter what time I went to sleep, my body would wake me up around 7 a.m. on the dot. So I'm grateful for that. Just knowing that my body's executing some sort of rhythm or falling into some sort of rhythm is great, because that's what I will try to protect for the rest of the season. Or the rest of, literally, the season. That doesn't have to mean competition, right? And so then the soreness, as I was getting better with the movements and everything, has been kind of leveling out. So sleep and recovery, I would say that's perfect. Just doing good with that, not complaining. As far as my training split, God, I just don't want to talk about it right now. It's just such a long, where we at? 20 some shit minutes into this bitch. We good, everybody. You know, it's a lot. I don't know, doing a lot more. Yeah, I'll talk about it next time. I love you guys, mean it. I'm sorry. So we'll move on to more spicy topics. Libido and sex hormones. Libido. As a lady, libido's complicated. So as a lady, there's so much more to libido than just like doing the deed. There's the whole arousal, excitement, drive to participate in those kinds of extracurricular activities. And frankly, it's hit or miss. Then there's also my body's response to that kind of stimulation, and that's also very much hit or miss. But it's all good. And then as far as my sex hormones, as far as I can tell, my last period was in September. We're in December now. So I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, man. So that's where we're at right now. So that's the recovery check-in. I'm feeling a lot more like myself. I'm feeling a lot more hopeful about the future, about my ability to manage stress, about who I am. Because something that I kind of underestimated here that's been really affecting everything else is, you know, I am a very authentic person. I'm a very genuinely happy person because I've created a life around the things that give me fulfillment and joy. So training, my clinical practice, my relationships, all of these things are things that really fulfill me and allow me to like radiate genuine happiness and fulfillment into the world. And my job is a big piece of it, you know, working in palliative care, working within the medical space, but in the capacity that I do as a social worker, like all of those things, like they say, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And while there are definitely grinds and things that go on, it's like I can't imagine doing anything else. And I feel so useful and valuable in the line of work that I do. And it means a lot to me, and it ties into not my self-worth, but my self-esteem in a lot of ways, because it's validated when I do good work and when I help people in these really messy and difficult, painful situations. So the 10 weeks that I was working from home and not performing and not working with other medical people and not being an asset and making mistakes due to brain fog and feeling more like a liability or like dead weight or like I was struggling and I was weighing everything else down. The challenge, because, you know, I'm trying my very best and I'm still challenged. I think that really fucked me up because it really drained my self-confidence, as well as just like my spirit, you know? And so I think that's where I'm trying to recover from the most. So more recently, in having some time to myself, I've gotten in touch with my self-confidence, with who I am, with what I had an insight about, like, there's more to me than anxiety and mistakes. The fact that I even had to say that to myself should attest to how much I was drowning. And so when I had that insight, I thought about, well, what more is there to me? And the list just grew in that moment of like, you're funny, you're goofy while also being deeply philosophical, you're a mentor, you give people a lot of grace naturally. You know, you're a maternal mentor, freaking critical thinker who's also goofy as fuck. You're pragmatic, all these things. You know how to self-soothe, all these things about me. And then it just kind of helped me get in touch with who I am and what makes me happy and, you know, my wellness formula. So now that I have a grip on those things, it just feels so good to feel like myself again, you know, to at least identify who I am. And I'm just excited to operate from that space again, because it's rough, man. You know, losing touch with who you are and feeling like you're a burden, and you know, nobody else can really talk you down from that but yourself, at least in my case. You know, everybody can be like, you're great, blah, blah, whatever, yo, I'm over here, you know, fucking getting fired because I suck. So it takes some personal, for me as an introvert, it takes some personal time to sort through all that, in addition to having other stuff done, other daily tasks and domestic shit being done, to really set aside the time to do that inward reflection and dig yourself out of the hole. So I'm just grateful that I'm in a better headspace right now. I feel like I can actually present myself to you all and be my authentic self. And that's the biggest blessing right now. So it's the holiday season. I really do think I'm on the road to recovery here. And on the road to recovery, I still see joy and excitement with competing in the future. I just got to make sure that my body's in a good place for it. So we'll see. Yeah. So in any case, I hope this update was a good one for you all. I hope that it had added some value. If it did in any way, or if anything stood out to you, like, please comment down below. In a lot of ways, it feels more like a vent session to me, but I hope that it was instructive in some way. And my other hope is that the next upload really is related to the competition season, because I've been having glimpses of, oh my God, I competed in 3 shows. I did so many freaking things. I traveled for each one of them. Like really reflecting on how much I fucking did. And I can definitely say there's highlights, definitely. And I would love to reflect on the highlights, as well as the stark criticisms of certain organizations and how they run shit, you know? So I would really like the next upload to be me in a good place, talking candidly and recapping this competition season. I think I'm getting there. I think I'm getting to a good place where I can do that. But in the meantime, I do hope that this upload was instructive and gratifying for all of you who actually do follow me and care. So let me know if this was nice or not, if it was worth uploading. And yeah, onward we go. I hope y'all are doing well. Stay safe and happy holidays.